What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to the originals. We have been off for a long time, but we are back for Season 4, Episode 1. Gather up the killers. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Back again. Originals back. Yeah, good job, guys.
Tell
Hello,
a friend.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? I'm a little early on that part. I'm a little early. What's up, guys? Welcome to the originals. We are back, and thank gosh, because this has been far too long. We had the Vampire Diaries to tide us over a little bit, but now that is gone. So we need the originals now.
It's been
more than ever.
It's been like 10 months.
Yeah, it's been. I feel like a year almost.
Yeah, because the finale was in May of 2016. It is now mid-March of 2017.
Yeah.
Like 10 months, yeah.
Michael, Julie, you're killing us, okay? But thank God we're back, and it was a bang, so I'm really happy about that. Guys, I'm Roxy Striar. You can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar. And new to our panel, although she has guested multiple times, so we finally made her come on as a permanent regular this season because we love Sam Davidson.
Hey guys! Yes, I'm so excited to finally have graduated to the originals. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Excited to be a permanent figure on the screen.
Excited to have you, and of course, guys, Tiona, chat mistress Hobson.
I'm back! And I'm already in the chat talking to everyone. Everyone's very excited to be back. And Roxy, they love your blonde hair.
Thank you, thank you. I had to give Sam the lowdown that you like the chat so much better than us. So I was like, Sam, I need you with me because Tiona doesn't care about us at all. She cares about the fans, and she couldn't care less that we're sitting here.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah,
I was reading the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got you, coach. I got you.
So guys, of course, as always, join Tiona live in the chat. You'll read some of the awesome comments and ignore us fully. It's okay. We allow it. And go to us on iTunes. Rate, comment, subscribe, YouTube, all over the place, guys. We love you. You are the best fans of all time. And, of course, for this premiere, we got to know your thoughts on it. Let's get right into it, though, guys.
Let's dive in.
All right. So we come back, and I love that we get this little reminder of what happened. We hear Vincent, and he's like, P.S. audience, in case you forgot what happened last season, we teamed up with Marcel as the witches. It like goes into this big speech. I was like, oh, thank you. I actually really needed that.
I thought it was cool because sometimes I think both the Vampire Diaries and the originals, they tend to kind of act like we'll remember all this insane stuff that is hard to keep up with. So they did a good job of filling us in a somewhat organic way. Like, I didn't feel like it felt forced.
I completely agree with that. It wasn't like, oh, P.S., here's what you missed on the originals.
Yeah.
It really worked with the storyline. T, how did you feel about them letting us know what happened?
I actually loved it because I watched it last night with my mom, and the first thing we
Love
both
that.
said was, wait, why didn't they give us a previously on? It's been too long. Like, I remember what happened, but, like, I needed a refresher. And then immediately, Vincent starts talking. I was like, oh, okay. I get why they didn't give me a previously on the originals.
Right, and even though it's only been a few months for us, maybe 10 months, it's been 5 years for them. So I'm sure that they probably also were doing that to say, hey, here's where we're currently at. 5 years later, this is what it looks like. We really needed that because we've missed a lot of time.
Yeah, and as a writer, I thought it was really cool that I doubt in the script anywhere it said, like, 5 years later. They said it in the lines, and it was organic the way they were like, oh, well, it's been 5 years. It's been half a decade, and it was cool that they just, like, kept on throwing it in because it's important to remember.
Were you guys surprised to see Vincent and Marcel still in cahoots and working together as a team with the vampires and the witches?
But here's the thing, there was so much tension in that every time, even with Josh and Marcel, like, the way Josh greeted him, like, oh, your Royal Highness, there's a lot of, like, those little jabs at Marcel that makes me think that as good as the piece has been, people aren't really fully happy with how he's had his 5-year tenure here.
I got that sense too, and I think that we're going to have to dive in deeper to that. We'll probably get some flashbacks as well explaining what Marcel has been through, but we have to remember not to turn on Marcel as fans because, yes, right now he is keeping Klaus captive, and yes, he's kind of acting like a royal ass, but he got murdered, okay? And we have to remember that. This dude got murdered. by Elijah. So he hates this family. He has, and we've loved Marcel for so long, and he's had such trouble, and I just feel awful for him still. So I don't want people to turn on him yet.
Yeah, I know that I got, a lot of tweets before I really started on the panel saying, oh, Marcel's the worst, we hate Marcel, and I disagree just because I rewatched the last couple episodes from last season. He not only got killed by Elijah, but he lost his, basically daughter because of the Mikaelsons, and I think, honestly, that's half of it. That's just a big part of it still is Davina.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Davina. I think a lot of it is T's crap-eating grin right now. What's going on, T?
I'm just thinking that I feel bad for Marcel, but it's hard to feel bad for him when the same things have been happening to the Mikaelsons too. It's like, okay, we get it. You've been through hurt. You've had your city taken away from you. You've lost close friends. Klaus and the Mikaelsons have also lost as well. And I always stick up for the Mikaelsons on the show, and I don't know what it is about it, but I just feel the sense that I have to defend them no matter what.
I am 100% with you. So here's the deal. I feel bad for Marcel. Don't turn against him. ... I feel worse for Klaus. You've got him locked up like an animal, and he didn't even kill you. Elijah killed you, and Klaus mourned and was like, Elijah, that's awful. What are you doing? He didn't want it. He didn't work for it. Poor Klaus. I mean, yes, he's murdered a lot of people, but this episode also was talking about change and how we can grow, and he has done those things, and now you're using him like an animal.
Yeah, and I just don't know. Marcel, the way he, showboated our Klaus out there for everyone to see as his prisoner, and the way he was just talking the whole time, I was like, you're really cocky and conceited, and I hope the witches are conspiring against you right now for, a cahoots, because you're really getting on my nerves right now, Marcel. I feel bad, but it's been 5 years, and you are still a prick.
Yes, he is, but so is Klaus.
Yes.
And I love Vincent calling him out on that, saying, our friend Cammie said that there was good in you. Why are you so hell-bent on proving her wrong? So right now, if there's some way by the end of this season, I know this is early on to say it, but that we can get Marcel and Klaus back on the same team, then let's do it. Let's spend every episode working towards getting to that goal, because I don't want to have the originals turn into Marcel versus Klaus or Marcel versus the Mikaelsons. We've gone too far for that.
Yeah.
I agree. I felt like watching this that we were backtracking a little bit, because we've seen essentially kind of the same thing. I don't remember which season it was, but it was at the beginning of one season where Marcel, he wasn't captured, but he was shunned from New Orleans, and Klaus was running it.
Yes.
And I'm not sure exactly when that was, but I've seen this, so I kind of want them to.
Well, it was
move
the
on.
first season when Klaus was still chilling over on Vampire Diaries, and then they come back to New Orleans and they want to take over, and Marcel has the quarter, and
right.
the Mikaelsons are like, we still have this, and then there's the epic battle there, and then the situation reverses also for the next season.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone back and forth a million times. I think it's time for us to once and for all team up. I know that there's a lot of hurt feelings, but I think we can do it as long as we have a common enemy, such as Alistair. Our dear friend Alistair.
Also, the chat has a lot of feelings about Marcel. A lot say he needs to die and that they don't like him.
No.
There's a couple, profanity words towards Marcel. And like you said, Roxy, I just think it's time once and for all, either end the beef and work together, or Marcel has to die, in my opinion.
Wow, you could be on team Marcel has to die?
If it means that team My Family, the Mikaelsons, gets to be reunited, and
she would totally do a Bennett spell, and she would kill Marcel if she could.
She is our resident witch. She's totally gonna take him out. Don't do it, girl.
I'll try not to. But.
Don't do it. We can get him back on our team. I know it. So we've got Alistair in the house. This dude's annoying. Homeboy needs to leave because
I think he's kind of hot.
Well, he definitely was hot, for sure.
He's like a hot Ginge to me, kind of.
Yeah, he was cute, but he was so annoying that it made it worse, because you are looking at him and you're like, gosh, Klaus has done something to everybody. Do you think you're special? Why do you get to come here and be the one who does all of this?
Yeah.
Remind me, because Roxy and I were talking about this before the show, T. Have we met him before?
No, we have not met him before, but he was the guy who got out of the limo at the beginning of the episode, when they were saying that some of the vampires are coming in town and being good and some aren't, and then the guy got out of the limo and someone was dead, and Marcel's new person who spies on everyone was standing there.
What is this with your hand then?
I don't know. It was she was standing here and he was over here. So it was like
also host the Flash after show. I thought you were about to like flash into
like
somebody.
flash
Into their heart. Yes.
No, it's just I talk with my hands when I can't think of words.
Cool. Italian at heart.
Are you gonna
Yes.
clap like Nicole Kidman did at the Oscars?
You can't even. It's amazing. I love that. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess he's here because he wants to take down Klaus. And I totally, if he was the person we were rooting for, I would totally feel for this story. Klaus clearly ruined his life, murdered his entire family. That sucks. But when you come onto the originals, we root for Klaus. So I'm obviously going to root against you, and I need you to die. And I was glad that Marcel finally let Klaus out to deal with this. I thought this was brilliant with the circle and all that. What did you guys think about this?
I liked it. It was, well, okay, I didn't like that. I felt very bad for Klaus. And let me just say, too, that, were you talking about Alistair or Klaus?
Well, I'm talking about the circle with both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel bad. It made me...
Just icky?
Yeah, I didn't exactly, like, I guess it was cool because we got a Fight Clubby-ish vibe to it.
And when we get them thrown against the wall, but you see it's kind of like a bubble and people can get in, but they can't get out, I was like, wow, damn.
Yeah, it was cool.
Special effects in this episode were amazing. I mean, we'll talk about Hayley later on, but wow, I thought it looked incredible.
It did. And Charmed Original in the chat just said that Neil Jackson, who played Alistair, is actually a good friend of Joseph Morgan. So that also makes it really fun when you know that they're friends, but, you know, ripping each other's throats out in a scene, literally.
Yeah.
Like going for the jugular there.
I will say, and I think they've done this before, I think a great way to introduce a new villain is to kind of like have us meet them, us the audience, meet them before and know that maybe this person's bad, maybe they're the new villain, but kind of like understand who they are until they're introduced to us, because maybe we'll fall in love with that villain for 2 minutes that they give us their story. And then we're going to be...
Backstory makes us care, for sure.
Yeah, so that's my only thing that's missing with this guy. He said what he said. Okay, that's sad, but that's not enough. We didn't see it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was like, okay, I don't really care, though. Really what I want to spend time on is Marcell's speech. And I love what he says. After the whole ring goes down and everything's happened, he goes, listen, guys, I captured him. I have kept this city safe. I'm the one who realizes that we still need him alive for his blood. Me. What right do any of you guys have to walk into my frickin' place, to my city that I have kept safe, and say anything to me? And I thought that was brilliant. And I know that he talks about wanting to keep him alive because of Rebekah, but I do also think it's because of his blood. It's a smart move. Mm-hmm. And I was really glad that he made this like kind of PSA to everybody, and that people stuck with it.
Yeah. It is a smart move. It's just that was the speech when I was like, you're so smug now, Marcel. Like, the fact that you're like, I keep him because I can. And I was like, that just really drove a nail into the coffin for him for me. I was like, come on, Marcel.
Yes.
I rooted for you for 4 seasons to finally get over this grudge, because this goes back before Elijah killed him, too. It goes back to the beginning of the series of how they left him for dead in New Orleans and then came back to reclaim a city that they had abandoned and that they left him, you know, for dead in, basically. And he still is harboring on those feelings. And it's like, dude, at some point, you gotta find something new to hate about these people or something.
Yeah.
Well, on that same note, this whole episode reminded me almost a lot of the first episode of the originals. It felt like it took this 5-year nap and it's been reborn in this way. And again, Marcel's in charge, but you know, Klaus came in and took everything, and now it just seems very similar to me. I like it because we're meeting all these new characters too, which I think is a lot of fun, and I just feel like they're reigniting the show almost in like a second chapter.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, I thought that this episode was amazing, and it did turn a little bit of a new page for us. And the second we do hear Marcel get that cocky over Klaus and all of these things, is the minute as audience members we know that things are about to turn around. Because where could Marcel go from there? He's on the top, and oh, how the mighty do fall, which is how we know that Hayley's gotta get her stuff done across the other side right now. So
girl power.
Yeah, and by the other side, I don't mean that place that Catherine was living or whatever. I just literally mean she's not there.
She's not there.
Yep. So we go over to Team Hayley, and yeah, Hayley's the best. Like, I probably think that she has become my favorite character on this show. She's the most independent woman. She's kicking butt, and a lot of these shows fall into the trope where it's like once you become a female and you're a love interest, you no longer have any storyline for yourself. And she never has that problem. She's always like at the front of the pack. What did you guys think about Hayley during this premiere episode?
Oh my gosh, I fell in love with her all over again. She
all
was,
the feels.
Yeah, all the feels. She was, strong, independent. She was getting dirty and taking care of business and doing what she needed to do to get her family back together. No questions asked. Like that fight scene when she took on all those people, my mouth was on the ground the whole time. I was like, oh my God. And then she turned into a wolf, and we haven't seen an actual wolf on this show in so long.
I know. And how good did that wolf look? Even the wolfy
really
tail, when we saw it going away, I was like, damn.
And then she's standing there all naked and sexy, It's perfect transformation. I loved it, and you're right, like she is such a strong character. And I feel like nobody talks about it. I read a lot of crap on the internet, about these shows and this and that.
Are you a Reddit person?
I'm a Reddit person. I'm like weird, like Facebook articles like pop up on my feed. I'll read all of it, but the only thing people really talk about her for is that she was with Paul Wesley. And I think she's so good and her character's really important, right? I think for just the world right now, for girls to watch her character.
I completely agree. And without her, we wouldn't have a season this season because everything is relying on her being able to go through this mission. And it must be tough for her because, number one, she's got Hope at home. Hope, who we meet as a little kid.
A little, like, 7-year-old. She's
Yes.
so cute.
So...
Oh, since we're on Hope, let's talk about the red hair that everyone is super pissed off about.
Thank you so much, T, because I don't know if you at home saw this, and if you didn't, let me just explain. Hope is getting hate right now. There's hate for Hope because of her hair color. Everybody's like, why is she a redhead? T, take it away.
Okay, so in an interview with TV Line, Michael Narducci, the first question that's asked is, we're talking about Hope, where's the red hair come from? And he said that they were just looking for an actress, and they weren't necessarily looking for one with red hair. They just wanted a child actor who could handle the darkness and the sadness and all the depth that this character was going to need to bring. She's dealing with a lot. It's a lot of emotional scenes and, including
we don't know what's going
reunion
on
with her father at some point. It's like you need a child actor who could handle all of this.
Yes.
And she just happened to be a redhead. But he said, as for the red hair, if people refuse to believe that there was ever red hair somewhere in this Viking bloodline, I'll apologize for that. Mm-hmm. Klaus comes from a Viking bloodline. Like, let's remember that this is where he comes from. So, of course, red hair would run in the family genealogy. It doesn't always come out. It skips generations.
This is when the internet starts to baffle me because it's like, this is the thing that you're angry about. Have you looked at the world? Yeah. Like, who is spending time being like, this little child should not be on the show because of her hair color? I've seen people with red hair whose both parents don't have red hair before. Mm-hmm. It happens very frequently. Not only that, but I completely agree. It's about the actress. And not only does she have a lot to deal with a potential reunion with her father, dealing with a mom who is so kick butt, having her mom's past relationship have passed away and now like being taken care of by that person's grandmother. That's a lot. But we also don't know what's going on inside her yet. Mm-hmm. There were so many theories that people forget about who Hope is, what she is. Does she become a hybrid? Is she a werewolf? Is she a magical trifecta of the three with the witch in her as well? We do not know what she's capable of. We need a kick butt actress.
Yeah.
So go with that first.
Well, so Hayley did have one line this episode that alluded that because it got my interest because when she was talking to Mary, talking about Hope and what she can do, and she said she couldn't control her, which is one of the reasons why she needed to find the family as well. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what her powers are. But on the red hair thing, first of all, to me, Joseph Morgan looks like he could have like a little reddish in his hair. And when I'm thinking about their mother, whose mother? Started with an E. Esther.
Oh, the Mikaelson.
Yeah, I feel like in the flashbacks, and I think it was blonde a lot of the time, but I could have been read at some point that we've seen her.
All right, we've seen them all body jump too.
Yeah,
like we don't know which version they really are.
But it's just crazy that people are, because that in 100 years, especially with Joseph Morgan's hair, he could totally have a red-haired kid.
Also, just be nice to the 7-year-old child.
Yeah,
like don't throw hate onto a 7-year-old kid.
At her.
And her hair isn't even that red. It's not like it's bright like Archie red, you know?
It's like a strawberry blonde, more like dark brown.
She's like a beautiful, cute, adorable, sweet little kid who's taking on a massive role that we've talked about for so many years. Cut her some slack. She's a child. She's a child.
That's what it comes down to.
I guess that's enough on her. So Hayley does decide that she needs to leave Hope, and she needs to go on this mission. She's got to find the Malro, because she has the six of the 7 werewolf tribes she needs to find a wolf that is Malro. So what did you guys think when we heard this might be a trap, when Mary was like, you never know, people know what you're up to, I caught wind of it, this could be a trap? Were you guys like, definitely is?
Definitely a trap. 100% I thought it was a trap. As soon as Mary said that, it just made sense. It's like, you can't have a cold thing for 5 years and then all of a sudden it pop up without being a little suspicious, especially when it's the 5-year anniversary of Klaus's capturing.
Yeah,
but that's what also made me think that maybe Phoebe Tonkin's character is, why am I Hayley?
Hayley.
I write it down all the time, and I always spell her name differently, by the way. So Hayley, that maybe she had some kind of plan. It also made me wonder, how long has it been since her and Mary have seen each other? Because it seemed like Mary was so excited to see Hope, she'd never seen her before.
I don't think she had never seen her before.
Because Hope was very excited at the prospect of it being. She's like, "Is that her?" Like she was excited to see her again.
But I think it had been a little while.
Yeah, so maybe she has been up to stuff on the DL.
I kind of thought that Keelan, when we met her, that maybe Keelan was in on it. I was worried when we saw her that she was actually the trap and that she was going to pretend like, oh, woe is me. She was going to go back to where Hayley was, and really she was working with the other people to get Hayley. But it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. It seems like not only was this not necessarily only a trap, but yes, she was being tracked, but Keelan actually is from the Malrose. So her venom really seemed to work.
Well, it kind of reminded me of, okay, what if this story was from Keelan's eyes? Let's say we're starting a new show through Keelan's eyes. Mm-hmm. It reminded me in a way of just like any other character, but especially in the Vampire Diaries, that someone's taken, these people are the antagonists, and they, like, the thing is that the Mikaelsons are bad. They're bad news.
Tiona and I are crying,
I know, but imagine her if, like, this was her story, this girl, and she's captured. And
I don't think Hayley's gonna let it stay this way, because Hayley made a deal, and Freya's like, I don't like let anybody mess with my family. But Hayley's not the kind of person, I think, to hold her captive. T, what you got?
I do a lot of reading, and again, I think it was Michael Narducci in an interview. He said that they were talking about Keelan's character and how she starts off as sort of a prisoner of the Mikaelsons, and then realizes that, you know, the best way to get out of the situation is to work with them and not against them.
As a friend.
As a friend and an ally. But at first, I don't know if it was just me, but I was like, Hayley and Keelan had like a little moment at that bar where I thought Keelan thought Hayley was hitting on her, and she was kind of into it at first. I don't know if that was just me, but I was like, I felt like
Keelan wanted more.
Keelan wanted, like, she was like, oh, you're a cute chick. But it could have just been me.
Maybe. I think that Keelan will be smart enough to eventually be like, listen, if what you need me for is my venom whenever it comes up, here's where I am. Hit me up. I'm happy to come. As long as you let me go, then I'll do this willingly. Like, she doesn't have to stay kidnapped in order to help them out. It's not like they need her venom every 15 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like in the small role she did have in the episode, I think it's going to be a bigger role throughout the season, and I actually really like her, and in the lines that she had, I felt really able to connect with her, so I hope that she's going to be part of it for the rest of the season.
I agree. Speaking of new people that we met, I forgot to mention earlier on in small roles, Maxine.
And Adam.
Yeah, and Adam and her son. So Maxine and Vincent, that kind of threw me off for a second. I don't know why, but I just like haven't pictured Vincent with somebody in that way for a little bit, and I was like, whoa, who is this new person we're getting introduced to, and he's gonna date her?
Well, I mean, remember back at Comic-Con we talked to I Vincent at
Yeah.
Comic-Con, and he said that we would get a little bit more background on him this season and possibly something more. So I think this is just, it's about time. I mean, you know, he's been through a lot since we first met him.
Yeah.
You know, originally being Cole and all that stuff, and his wife and everything that's happened, that I would like to see him slowly progress into something with someone meaningful.
Yeah, me too. What do you think, Sam?
I do too, and this episode I realized how much I really do like him for the first time. Before, he was always just kind of a part of the puzzle, but now he's more than that, and
he's badass.
Yeah, this is the first time I really realized that. But I think with this mother and son situation, that there is it's deeper and darker.
I agree with that.
Definitely. Two things. One, some people in the chat are saying that they can barely hear us right now, so I'm not sure if our mics are really low, or maybe I need to talk more.
We're having a little bit of an issue. I'm working on it, but just keep going.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, you're just a little quiet right now. I'm working on it.
All right,
Thank you.
cool. Thank you.
Mark for the win.
Mark for the win. And then it's been said numerous times, and Nicholas Kelly, I'm seeing yours, it says Keelan is confirmed to be openly bisexual, and Freya might become our witchy Sarah Lance.
Okay. So many things to say to you right now. Number one, there's no way that you didn't read that and then it got in your head and you were watching it. Like, if she's been confirmed, I know you read everything.
No,
so why wouldn't you just say you read it somewhere?
I didn't actually read that part. I stayed away from all articles before watching this episode. I didn't want anything spoiled.
Number two, thank goodness it's about time the originals, like, and you're telling me in all this group of people that we've had, and all these vampires, witches, and all of the werewolves, you're telling me not one of them plays for the same team? Like, let's be real. Of course they do. So,
Well, it's like now
there's Josh.
we have Josh.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
But okay, now that you
Yeah,
said
but then
that,
poor Josh, Aiden got killed. Like, we haven't
Yeah.
seen him with anybody
that was
since.
messed up.
But
was messed up.
I do know this, that Josh is getting a new love interest, and I know this because my brother auditioned for the role, and I really wanted him to get it.
Damn!
And he didn't.
that would have been so
Oh my
cool.
God! Spoiler! AfterBuzz exclusive on that one.
Well, I mean, that much I know, but I think people in the chat knew it as well.
Oh,
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
let us have this one too, okay?
Okay.
Sam, what you got?
Now that we're bringing it up, though, because I remember I was like, no, there was a lesbian thing in this episode. I felt a lesbian vibe with someone, and you said Hayley, and I said no. And then when you said Freya, 100%, and I think that is going to be Hayley's, or not Hayley's,
Freya and Keelan.
Keelan. I think that'll be Keelan's like foot in the door with the originals. Like her and Freya are gonna have a thing, and especially
Yeah.
Freya's her capturer right now.
What would their ship name be? Keela or
Freya?
Freylin?
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 I like Freylin.
Okay, let's start it here then. Hashtag Freylin.
Yeah.
Hashtag Freylin for the win.
It'll be like a Beauty and the Beast story, even though that Freya's obviously not a beast, but you know.
What's that called when you fall in love with your capture?
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
Stockholm.
that one.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be like that. So I want her to like be in a good relationship.
Well, I mean, she is not being very nice to her right now.
That's true, but eventually.
Yeah, I mean, a couple episodes, I think that's why she's going to get out, because
Okay.
they're going to fall in love.
It's kind of like when a vampire compels somebody to do something. That's a little bit of Stockholm too. Like Damon pulled that a couple of times, or when you're sired to somebody. So we know that things can be turned around after Stockholm, right?
It's all every
After somebody's
show.
been
It's
captured?
like every show.
Yeah.
We just let it go. It's awful, but we do.
I do like that as a possibility. And so far from what we've seen of Keelan, I like her. Mm-hmm. I like her. She's got a little edge to her, and we'll see where that goes.
And shout out to her because she's from Containment, which was Julie Plek's other show that aired last spring. It didn't get picked up for another season, but she got another job out of it.
CW, giving CW people work all the
Yeah.
time. I love that. Speaking more about Freya in this episode, she pops right up. Hayley gives her that medicine. She pops right up, and she's like, I gotta get to work. I was like, damn, girl. Your first question is, how long have we been out?
I turned to her, I was like, has anyone asked how long they've been asleep yet? Does anyone know it's been 5 years?
She's literally thinking like it's the next weekend. She's like, oh, Hayley found this damn quick. And Hayley's not telling her otherwise. Hayley's like, yeah, I got you out really, really fast. She's like, at what point is she going to realize I've been gone for 5
5
years?
years.
We have a different president. Like, I've been out for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time.
I woke up and Donald Trump was here. I don't know what just happened.
I think he's definitely not going to be for vampires. That's for sure.
I don't think so either. Yeah, he's definitely anti-vampire. Maybe pro witches? He needs them on his side.
He probably has them on his side already.
Oh, maybe.
Hey, us witches
Sorry.
are offended by that statement.
So I thought that was interesting, though. And maybe in the world that they're in, because we saw that last season, we saw a little bit about the alternate universe they were kind of living in, and that they, since they're tied to Klaus where they were, maybe they feel time. So maybe she damn well knows that it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. She's got a one-track mind. And at first, when Freya came on the show, I just thought, I don't know, Rebekah replacement, I don't really want it. But now I feel like Freya really has a role on this show. Like, we need her to get ish done.
Yeah.
We need it. So I was happy she popped up and was like, gotta say brothers. Like, one track.
It did make me a little confused because I didn't get to rewatch the finale before I watched this episode. So remind me what's going on with Rebekah. Like, she didn't get bitten by Marcel, but she still...
What did they say, that she was cursed or
She
something?
was cursed because the first thing Freya says is, if I don't get this done in like an hour, then Cole and Elijah might not make it. And I was like, well, what about Rebekah? Why aren't you talking about Rebekah?
But she wasn't in the world with them. You guys remind us in the chat because you guys are our heroes and we love you.
Rebekah was in the finale.
She was in the finale, and she went to that dream world with them that Freya created for the four of
There was
them to
that
kind of
one
hang out
line in this episode that her and Cole ran that somebody was like they needed to get out of there. So maybe we're to assume that they were woken up as well, and that instead of like Elijah who ran outside to be with Hayley, Rebekah and Cole just left.
Like, screw these guys.
So the chat is saying that Rebekah was hexed with
Oh
the
yeah.
spear, which I'm remembering now.
Yes.
So yeah, she was hexed, and that's what happened.
But I think hex means so many different things, and like, I don't understand what hexed means. Like, she had bad luck all the time. She was asleep and was, I need clarification. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
has she been awake? Because what's been happening?
Keep giving us clarification, chat. Keep giving us clarification. Also, a lot's happened in 5 years. We don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe people don't know in the last 5 years what's happened to her or to Cole exactly. But we do know what's happening to Elijah because we saw him. Because all right, I have been with you, T, to the end. You know, I loved Jaylee.
Jaylee.
I loved Jaylee too. I thought Jaylee was great. I really liked it. But tonight, for the first time ever, I think I can officially say that I'm Elijah.
I've always been Elijah.
I don't know whether it's just because I feel sensitive because Katie says, yay, Campbell is not here anymore, and I feel like I need to stand up for them.
I've got you, Katie. I'm Elijah. I'll hold
We
this
miss
down.
you, Katie. But I was Elijah in that moment where he just comes and he kills those two, and then he gives her the jacket and they kiss, and then she's like, in the last few years, I still feel, and he's like, me too, and I'm like, yes, yes.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, you
Yes.
guys. Oh, I just got the chills. I loved it, and I also loved that moment, which is a super cool directorial moment, kind of, when Elijah put the jacket when Hayley was turned around, and she didn't know it was him, but she knew it was him.
She knew
Yeah.
in her face. She
Yeah,
had that
she knew.
She had that moment where
Like
she
a
oh,
release, like, oh, thank God. And it was so great. I loved it.
It
so
was
good.
beautiful. And Roxy, I am 100% in agreement with you. I am Team Jaylee till the day I die.
Yes.
Not the day Jackson died, but until the day I die. But I do love them together, and I feel that since it's not being thrown in my face the week after anymore, it's been 5 years. She's had time to mourn. She's been away from him, and they still want each other. I'm like, okay, this is love. This is what you're supposed to want. I'm okay with it, but still, I need Jackson's memory to not be tarnished in like the middle of all of this.
I agree, and here's the deal. Julie Plex said it really well in talking about Vampire Diaries. In case any of you guys don't watch, when there was a relationship with Caroline and with Stefan, and people were kind of on different sides of that. Some people wanted it, some people didn't. And then there was a hint that maybe she might end up with Klaus one day, or that was a different story, and people were upset. And Julie said, listen, you're allowed to have multiple loves in a lifetime, especially when your lifetime is thousands of years.
Yeah.
So it is possible that Hayley was really, really in love with Jackson. And then it's possible that in a different kind of way, one day she will be really, really in love with Elijah. And you can have those things. So no disrespect to Jackson, but I'm on Team Elijah now, and I would like to see what their romance could do, because we haven't really given it a fair shot so far.
Yes, and just to go back for a minute, Rebekah thing. Rebekah was hexed and it was making her go crazy and she was killing all over the place. So they had to put her down and that's why she was down. And then the line.
Also, she's still hexed, so they still.
Well, no, so Hayley got she got a witch to like siphon out the hex from her, or whatever. Right. And so then the line about them going to feed was that they both were uncontrollably hungry, and so they Freya woke them up and they went off to feed, and Elijah's first thing he did was to go see Hayley.
Even though he's hungry.
My heart tingle.
Well,
Even though he's hungry.
I just need to put
hungry
this
for
in
that
there.
love.
I loved, the entire moment with them, and I think that it's always been them. That's what and I get that it was a little too soon with Jackson, and...
I mean, it can't always have been them, considering she has his brother's child, but like...
When he asked, how's my niece, I was like, your niece/daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Your niece-daughter?
I just don't think it's weird anymore, though. No, once the original started, that was a very defined it was the will they, won't they, and then, Jackson
they're the
happened.
Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, and it's not as though, this is just starting now. It's like the widow, and now she's older and finds this new... this guy's always been pining after her, Elijah. Mm-hmm. And it's always been, given to us. But I agree. I was very upset with the way they dealt with it last season with Jackson. It made his existence seem unimportant.
Trivial, yeah.
Trivial.
Yeah. And he loved Hope, and so that's all I want. And I said this last season. I just want Hope to grow up knowing that Jackson was there in the first 2 years of her life and was extremely in love with her and wanted the best for her too.
I agree.
He wasn't her father, but he was her stepfather for a period of time. And I think that having Mary around will also carry on his legacy in there.
I agree. Speaking of Hope, guys, she gone do some creepy things right now. What is she drawing? What is going on? T, you were talking to me a little bit. This is the Ouroboros.
The Ouroboros, which is like the serpent or sometimes the dragon that is eating its own tail, which is a symbol of, life recreating itself in an ongoing flow of things.
So is she being possessed? So she's drawing this? Is she doing this on purpose? Is it her that's been doing this all around town? Does she have people that are following her? Is she having a vision? What is going on here?
So I think there's some sort of connection between her and the boy Adam.
Okay.
I also think that it is her who is making these things appear in the quarter and the Algiers and stuff without realizing that she's doing it. Because Hayley said she has this power that I can't begin to understand. So clearly Hope is doing things that Hayley's like, I don't know how to help my daughter. So I think that having Freya awake now will help with some of this.
What do we think about his name being Adam and him dealing with serpents?
I didn't even think of that.
As in
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. It could be. So the thing with this storyline is I really like it because there's so many possibilities that could happen, and that they made Hope's powers so vague. It could be a normal thing that she's drawn creepy stuff in the middle of the night, and it's just like another Sunday, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that almost she might have psychically reached out to this other child somehow, Adam.
Because why was he in this house?
I don't
What
know.
was he doing there?
I'm excited because there's so much more to explore, and it's a new, fresh story. Which, I mean, children, I love kids, but in horror movies, they are the creepiest little things.
Like dolls.
Oh, jeez.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I saw this in the chat earlier, and I didn't get to see who wrote it down, but someone said with Hope and her drawing, it's kind of, Klaus also is an artist and draws, and so it's kind of a correlation between the two of them there. And then Charmed Original just said Davina used to sketch when she would see things too when she was trapped in her ivory tower that wasn't so ivory, but she did a lot of sketching as well. So it's something that a repeated pattern of what we've seen before. It's just interpreting what it means. And Michael Narducci did say that this symbol is the key to unraveling the whole mystery of the season is
Damn.
This.
That's interesting. All right, guys, let's get a little bit to predictions.
Oh, already?
Yeah, it's already that time.
Now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
So Klaus gets stabbed by, that was Papa Tunde's thing, right? Or whatever that makes you go into that hell place. So even if his brother comes to get him, even if Freya comes to get him, now he's kind of screwed, right? Like, where do we go from here?
Well, there's a lot of places because we see Cammy, but I think that she is in
A
his
vision.
his hell world that he's stuck in. I think that's
For
how
sure.
we're getting her back, because I know there's been a lot of questions because she showed up in an early teaser for the season, so I know people have been talking about that. Oh, and speaking of
There's no
Cammy,
way she's
sorry,
alive.
the bar where Josh is,
Yeah.
running things. I thought it was great that they had the photo tribute to her and Davina up
I
there,
loved
keeping
that.
them and their memories alive as well. 'cause-
I completely agree.
and we all know that I was not the biggest fan of Cammy, so
And we were also not the biggest fan of Davina dying, so
Yeah.
that helps with both those
it helps
things.
with both.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think? Predictions?
Okay, so it's just because I was very upset about the Cammy and Davina's death. I am still not accepting it. When rewatching them the other day, I was like, okay, there's still room. There's still room for them to come back. And I think that
Davina,
picture-
yes. Cammy, I don't know. That dead is dead a little bit on a human.
Yeah, well, maybe. Okay, but Davina, yes, I think for sure. I think that perhaps Davina is connecting with Hope in some way, psychically, trying to, like, give her a sign to show everybody.
Interesting.
And I think that, definitely Elijah is going to happen. And yeah, Keely, God, what's her name? Keelan. She's going to be a big part of the show. Her and Freya are going to be the first, like, lesbian relationship that we're going to see on the originals.
Awesome. Awesome. T, any thoughts?
I like that as well. I like the lesbian coupling happening here. I don't know. It's so early that I feel like I can't predict anything, but I will predict because I read somewhere that there will be a death.
Oh,
I think
great.
I couldn't find, any more information on information about the death, if it's a main character, a side character, or whatever. But I'm gonna predict that Marcel dies this season.
Yeah,
And I
agree.
thought that when I was watching this episode, I was just like, you know what? He's gone to the point now where Klaus isn't going to give him another free pass. Klaus, as soon as he gets out of this, is going to be hell-bent on killing Marcel.
I think we're going to be surprised. I don't think Klaus is going to be hell-bent on killing Marcel. I think we're actually going to see some change, and that's why we heard Vincent say that. If there's going to be a death, unfortunately, I do think it's going to be Vincent's.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which I don't want to see, but that's what I would guess.
No, not Vincent.
That was just a guess of mine.
Sorry.
Prediction. It's not.
I heard it delayed because I was
'Cause you
reading
were in the
other
chat.
people's predictions.
I know.
M. James' prediction says, in the future, they re-sire Marcel or make him just a regular vampire again. Because that is going to be the difficult part, is how do you kill Marcel when you don't understand what he is yet?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know really what he is or anything. And
a lot of people don't know what they are. Hope, Marcel, Adam. We got to
Yeah.
get down to the bottom of some things.
And a lot
Keelan.
of people in the chat are just saying, they hope they see Claire Holt again, which I'm pretty sure she's
Yes.
in next week's episode because I paused the TV at one point and there's two blondes standing behind Elijah, and one looked like Freya, the other one I was like, that's got to be our girl Rebekah, because
That'd
it
be
was all
bomb.
the siblings together.
That'd be
again.
amazing.
But of course,
want her in
Ivan
every
Soto
episode.
is saying that the death for the season was Alistair.
Well, we
I
don't
don't
care
think
about
that
him.
counts.
I want to add one thing, actually. I think that Cole is definitely going to be in this season, and I think part of his, mission, he might be gone for a while, or maybe we don't really know where he's been anyways the past 5 years. They said they put him down, or is that just Rebekah?
Put him down. He's mentally thinking about bringing back Davina.
Yes. That's going to be his goal, and, he's going to try to bring her back in some way.
Got to. All right, guys, that's all the time we have today. Chat Mistress, where can everybody keep up with you?
You can find me at the Tiona Hobson all over the interwebs.
Sam.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, samdavidsonentertainment.com, and Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. And if you guys want to, Tiona and I have a live reaction video. It's only 7 minutes of us watching the Vampire Diaries series finale, and it's hilarious. So it's in the link in my bio on Instagram.
And I apologize for all my cussing in that.
It was
Never
emotional,
apologize for that.
emotional night.
It was very emotional. Very, very emotional. Guys, I'm Roxy Striar. You can find me at Roxy Striar. And don't forget to follow us at AfterBuzz TV. Go to our YouTube. Go to our iTunes. Rate, comment, subscribe. Make sure you seriously tell us how you're feeling, because, as you know, Tiona reads all those comments every single week on air. And we got to know, what do you think about the original season premiere of Season 4? So happy to be back. We love you guys. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.